Good morning. Canada is a vast country, and in this country land is aplenty, and yet majority of the people are just concentrated in certain spots, and that makes the real estate market quite heated. And the heated real estate market has been in news calling for taxes on the foreign buyers. But there's a different crisis which people don't talk about, and that's a crisis which is social in nature, a crisis which can have deep social impact on the country as a whole. That's a divide. Would you believe that there are millions of empty bedrooms across the country, and many families are struggling to live in cramped accommodation? It's a misfit in the geometry of the population. Houses are available, and the people are available, but the people don't have the proper houses. They have houses, and some people have mansions just vacant. 70% of the Canadian population, 70%, they are living in homes which are either too big for them or too small for them. In Ontario alone, you'll be shocked to know that there are more than 5 million empty bedrooms. 2/3 of the province's population lives in homes that are bigger than they need, and 400,000 homes have 3 or more empty bedrooms. 400,000 homes have 3 or more empty bedrooms, and total bedrooms available but not used are more than 5 million. Every bedroom that a household actually needs, for every bedroom that you need, there are empty 6 bedrooms. So while some 2.2 million bedrooms sit empty, and 2.2 million, I'm taking half of it because people want to have 1 bedroom for the guest room, it would take only 400,000 bedrooms to occupy 20% of city residents who lack adequate shelter and adequate space. Now imagine where the social aspect comes in. You'll be thinking it's okay. People can afford it. They have big houses. Fine, they have. But imagine there was food and water supply, and 70% people were either not able to get the food or supply, or they had plenty to waste. How would those people feel who have not sufficient supply? They are necessities, but so are the homes. But sociologists forget that while the impact of food and water is immediate, the dichotomy in accommodation is long-term and also long-lasting. And what I'm talking about is not only in Ontario, it's across the city. Look at Canada's capital city, Ottawa. And it has 80% of the owners living in homes with extra bedrooms. 80%. In Vancouver, which is housing market in one of the world's least affordable market, 800,000 bedrooms are empty. It will just take 120,000 of these bedrooms to use and meet the needs of the people who are living in spaces that are too small. So while media and the government is dominated by housing affordability concerns, they are absolutely blind to this lingering contradiction. And there are several factors for this. We live in a country where we are obsessed with ownership. And that's why Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver have highest home ownership rates in the world. This inertia is increased by the city planning. They emphasize the construction of either detached homes or condominiums. And the gentle density options, I call it gentle density, like duplex and townhouses, we are just the right size, but they exist in a very small number. Now duplexes, in case they are there, can take away a lot of burden, and so do the townhomes. But no, the government and the cities would encourage either the detached homes or the condominiums. You know what impact is? That in the large homes, the families lack cohesion. I was watching a Pakistani play, an Urdu play, and I was impressed. It was long back. And one of the characters, one of the sisters says that in such big houses we lose each other. You don't come in contact with each other. You are afflicted with isolation and loneliness. That family ties become weak. And when the family time and the companionship becomes weak, that is the first step towards the sense of alienation. So the two large houses breed a sense of separateness, and the family bonds are broken. These broken bonds lead to the broken bonds of society, because family is the fulcrum around which the whole society moves. And two small houses, there is no privacy at all. You can't talk to each other. You can't hear yourself. And that too much of familiarity, too much of burdensome, again breeds friction and often contempt for each other. You need to have a right size. You need to have a right mix of privacy and companionship. Two large houses are bad, two small houses are bad. But maybe our governments, our cities, and zoning authorities are more concerned with either the property taxes that they get or with development charges that they get from the builders. Whatever it is, the sociological aspect is always forgotten. And that is the major issue. The solution is not very difficult. There can be more zoning for the secondary suites in a single family neighborhood and build more, not only number, but also diverse rental housing. The number of the rental housing is too less than it ought to be, simply because the pendulum towards ownership has shifted too far. The result is, let's take up Toronto as an archetypal city. And Toronto is in fact a tale of two cities. This is a city divided by generation gap and unintentional hoarding of the bedrooms. 65 to 85% of people are overhoused, and they are living in low density neighborhoods where population is shrinking. Now, people above the age of 65, and as I said, 85% of the people above the age of 65 are living in low density neighborhoods. And hundreds of thousands of the younger people, larger families, newcomers, they are packed in high density apartments in fast growing neighborhoods. Look at the imbalance. Imbalance of any sort is a breeding ground for anti-social activities. And that is why the law and order situation is much worse in Toronto than anywhere else. You see, unfortunately, our policy planners do not take a long-term view. Until and unless the problem becomes too predominant and is bursting, they just ignore it. No one talks about it. Look at the problem of overhousing that occurred in Europe. And that was a global phenomenon. Left unchecked, this phenomena and the deepening inequality that it hints at. This shows basically the inequality wreaks havoc on the cities. And that's why cities like Barcelona have such a scientific system that it's a pleasure to live in them. Where does it end up? That's my concern. Do we want a social disaster to happen? Are we waiting for a cataclysm to afflict before we take remedial actions? Would our policy makers, our bureaucrats and the political leadership open their eyes only when the law and order situation becomes out of control, or the already deepening crisis of depression and isolation and mental diseases becomes enormous and great to that extent that it's beyond salvation and beyond repair? Why is it that the indicators that we see every time are not seized and acted upon? Why is it that our policy makers, our leaders, our decision makers wait for the deluge? You know, it's like waiting for the rains to come, the floods to be there, and then start building dikes to protect yourself. Waiting for the doomsday is a sign of mental imbalance, lethargy, and short-sightedness. But when the leaders indulge in that, they see a situation which is going to be catastrophic. As I said, the sociological impact of this divide would breed either lawlessness, crime, prostitution, drugs, gangs, and or mental health issues, which will be beyond the capacity of the government to face. What is needed today is an immediate attention to this problem. And as I said, it doesn't take a long time and much effort. You need to have the will. The possibilities of solving a problem are always there. Only we have got the need to realize the situation and then to take action. Once we can do it, no problem is beyond solution. And this problem, this divide between the haves and the have-nots, especially the people who are living in two big houses and the two small houses can be easily rectified, and that would basically integrate the society, make family life whole, and make society living meaningful. Thank you.